Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and today I'm behind the wheel of the 2023 Chevy Silverado 1500 with a Duramax Diesel that we bought for this channel for this year. It's my long-term review vehicle. I buy a new truck every year. I'm towing a 2000 Nissan Altima to my daughter in Montrose. It's her new car. It's a hand-me-down car from the family. I've put some money into it to fix it up, and now it's delivery day. So I have a U-Haul trailer behind me. I'll pull over a little bit and do a little walk around of the setup. So you have actually a really cool hitch too. The waist safe hitch is installed. No more about that. So the plan is it's about 500 miles. I have to go through the Colorado mountains, over Eisenhower, through Vail, all the way through those I-70 out towards Montrose, which is on the very western edge of Colorado. I'm hoping to be there in 8 hours ish. So sometime after dinner or so, or should be before dinner. It's about 7:35 in the morning, and it's currently 40 degrees. So it should be a long day. A cool, kind of nice temperatures to tow in because it's not going to be so hot. Vail's going to be interesting. There's a little bit of rain, winter like snow mix happening in Vail, but the way my work schedule is right now with the travel, if I don't take the car today, it'll be June until I can get back in the same situation. So I'm just like, I have to get this car off my plate. It's been sitting there. She needs it. It's just time to go. So there's a few notes I want to put on this before I get too many details. So again, I told you distance. I'll get an elevation when I can. I think it's thousands of feet gained and lost. I'm going to go down there. I'm going to drop the trailer off. I'll give you fuel economy numbers when I get down there, and then I will drive back unladen. I'm going to leave the U-Haul trailer there in Montrose. Not going to drive back with a tow dolly, and I'll tell you what those numbers are when I come back as far as that fuel economy numbers. I also want to bring up the fact on the exhaust brake. I just had the exhaust brake activate as I was coming down the Wildcat Hills here, and there was a conversation about that in the camping video about the exhaust brake in this truck. So when you put the truck in tow haul mode, it turns the exhaust brake on. There's no external button for it. It turns it on, and according to the manual, it basically reads that anytime the brake is applied, the exhaust brake will kick in. Okay, so I was going down, had cruise control set, and it kicked the exhaust brake on because I was doing 65, got to 68. Oh, don't tell U-Haul 55. But I was doing like 68, and the exhaust brake kicked on, and it slowed me down. Now, I also did it on the backside of Wildcat Hills during that camper, and I put my foot on the brake, and that should have engaged the exhaust brake as well, but it didn't do it that well. It wasn't as aggressive as I wanted it to be, and that's why I gave it a failing grade going down the turn. I'll be really curious today going through the mountains how it interacts. I know listening to you guys in the comments, you've all made the comment that you wish it was just more aggressive, or maybe there was a setting to make it more aggressive. One of the two things would make it a little bit better, and so I'm going to be really curious about it. I'm going to check the def gauge. I have a full container of blue or platinum def at the back just in case, but I was going to show you, I was going to look on the screen. Yeah, so the exhaust fluid, the def exhaust fluid is at about 3 gallons. It's a 4-gallon system, and they have little lines on the screen, and as somebody correctly pointed out in the manual, it does actually kind of spell this out. It's a little not quite as clear as it needs to be, but basically every line represents a half gallon. And so again, there was a lot of conversation about towing and about def usage in the diesel, and a lot of people are wondering about this new LZ0. This is the one that replaced LM2. It's a refreshed or redesigned a little bit, and people were saying that the LZ0 is using more def fluid, but it seems like maybe the more it gets broken in, maybe it doesn't use as much def. There's a theory out there. I'm gonna throw that one out there. So yeah, I don't know. That's a very interesting question, and I'm hoping to put, if I get 10,000 miles on this truck, I'm going to do damn good because I work from home. I usually have two or three vehicles at a time I have to test out. I mean, this is the lifestyle I have. So I'm right now at 3,700 miles, and so yeah, I'll be curious to see. This is 1,000 miles. I'll be about 5,000 miles, and I plan on going to Michigan, towing my 62 to Michigan this summer. So I should be able to get 7,000-8,000 at least on this truck this year. So I'll be curious to see what happens at def the longer I drive it. But all right, that's kind of your update. Probably went way too long. I just want to tell you what's going on, where I'm going, the elevation gain, the def fluid, and then we'll just see how it goes in the trip. And hopefully I get there tonight. Knock on wood. I better. The hotel room I don't think is refundable, and it's like 200 bucks. Was going to start this video before I got Eisenhower, and I screwed up, and now I'm in Eisenhower Tunnel. So, I'm just looking around scenery. Colorado's beautiful. right? Yeah. And wow, it's getting dark in here in the tunnel. So I'm a little nervous because I'm coming down. I'm going to go to the backside Eisenhower, which is actually probably more interesting going up. Going up had no problems. I mean, it was fine. It just, you know, no issues. Going down though, I have some concerns. First of all, the exhaust brake. We've talked about this in different videos. Anytime, it doesn't matter if cruise is on or not, whatever's going on, when you apply the brakes, the exhaust brake kicks on, and it uses the turbocharger to help slow down the truck. I'm also going to use manual shifting too, so I have the shifting with the paddle shifters. We'll talk a little more about that because I want to control the speed. I'm going to use the truck to slow itself down. So make sure I do that. It's a very steep grade in the backside Eisenhower. The other problem I have is I'm checking weather reports, and there's a little bit of snow when I came up in Eisenhower, and I'm concerned there's gonna be snow on the backside. I've done Eisenhower a lot. I used to live in Buena Vista. I used to do this drive all the time coming to Denver. And so you can have beautiful skies on one side of Eisenhower, and you can have a snowstorm on the other side of Eisenhower. So that's got me a little nervous. Yeah, right now Eisenhower's at 11,000 feet. I'm at 201 degree temperature for my transmission. I did do the transmission cooler swap. And to be clear, because there's been a lot of confusion from myself and from comments, the transmission cooler uses the transmission fluid. It goes from the transmission through the radiator and comes back, and it uses the radiator fins and things to cool down the transmission temperatures, transmission fluid. So it's basically it's like a heat exchanger. I'm sending the hot fluid out to the front, it's going around the radiator, going through the coils, it comes back much cooler and goes back into the radiator. And here we go down Eisenhower. So to do this, I'm going to downshift with the shifter and engage the paddle shifters. And another reason I do this is I don't want to wear out my brakes. If you know anything about mountain driving, brakes can get really hot. You can get what's called brake fade, where the brakes won't respond like they used to because they've gotten hot and tired, and or I guess brakes get tired. But I want to use the truck the best I can. So wow, and this is quite the view. I should get this here. I'll get this on camera for you guys. Okay, that's quite the view. So I'm going to downshift here, and that's going to put me in L5. But I can use these to shift down, and I'm going to see the RPM goes up. I don't want to get into the red. I don't want to red line it, but I can shift that way, control my speed. So now I'm doing 48, and yeah, that's what that looks like there, coming down Eisenhower. And I can hear the exhaust brake going off. It's not extremely loud, and so it's not like it's drowning out the cabin, but I can definitely hear it. And so I can shift with my gears and kind of manage my descent. I'm going to get with these semis here and kind of get out of the way for other traffic going by. And so I'm just going to take my time going down, you know, apply a little throttle, shift, just kind of use the vehicle, the truck, to help me get down safely. Yeah, that's the plan. This is always a little goofy. I'll see if I can tighten the camera mount a little bit so it's not shaking so bad, but the roads aren't so great. And this U-Haul tow dolly I have, it pulls a little weird. Something's wrong with the tire or something, I'm not sure. I mean, it's fine, I just got some vibrations. Okay, just downshift to 4,000 RPMs. I'm going to apply some more brake to get that exhaust brake to kick on. And again, exhaust brake doesn't matter whether you're in cruise control or not. You can use the exhaust brake anytime the brakes are applied. I'm using my shifting for the transmission, and I'm using the exhaust brake on the truck to get down. Transmission temperature dropped to 199. I want to check fuel economy. So currently I'm 19.1, which is pretty darn good. And I've driven 250 miles so far. It's at a 500-mile trip through the mountains of Colorado. Okay, so there we go, on the way down. And again, I mean, I could use my brakes, but I prefer not to. I'd rather not. I'd rather use the truck to help me slow down. And we'll switch gears, or switch lanes here. So if you didn't catch my other video where I did the camper, there's a few details. I'll try to show you on the screen when I get a chance, when I get in a safe position. But when you put on the turn signals, the camera shows up on the main information screen, which is really cool because it allows you to see the behind you blind spot all the way back behind the trailer. So that way, you know, you're not cutting somebody off, which is, well, probably a good thing. And if you haven't watched these videos before, this is, like I said, a 2023 Chevy Silverado 1500. It's got the new LZ0 Duramax Diesel. This is the high country trim. It's a truck I bought this year for the channel. Every year I try to buy a new truck because it's good for the channel, good for my business, good for my taxes, and I just enjoy it. I enjoy driving trucks and I enjoy learning a lot of new stuff. And yeah, I've learned a lot on diesel, and I've made my mistakes, and I'm getting better at stuff. But this truck has been fantastic so far. It's been probably one of my favorite trucks I've had in the last couple of years. I had a Ford F-150 Power Boost, which I really liked the power on board. That thing was awesome, and I like the zone lighting. Two features I think more brands should do. Last year I had a Toyota Tundra, which was great for the business, but I just had quite a few little issues with it. And this one I've had since December, and right now it is April, and I've had no problems with it. It's been pretty good. Excuse me, I do have one problem with it. The trailer lights aren't working correctly. Something is wrong with my hookup. The camper and now this U-Haul won't recognize the right turn signal, so off to the dealer I go when I get back home. But besides that, it's a great drive. It's nice and smooth. It's pretty quiet. It's powerful with that Duramax diesel providing a lot of torque at a very low RPM, and I've gotten really good fuel economy. And you know, yes, diesel is more expensive, but it's all about cost per mile when it comes to this type of operation. I'm going to downshift here. So how much am I spending per mile versus, say, a gas vehicle? And in this case, you know, I'm getting pretty darn good fuel economy, and I can't think of a gas truck that would get the same fuel economy towing this type of load from my testing. And I'm sure somebody out there has done it, but from my testing of trucks over the past 12 years, I've never seen a gas truck get the same fuel economy as a diesel towing in this situation. So it's not for everybody. This is not the truck everybody's going to take home and buy, but I'm sure liking it so far. Okay, so I'm basically getting down the grade. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to come back a little bit, and we'll talk about when I get to Montrose, and we'll talk about fuel economy and all the other stats that I'm sure you guys are waiting for me to talk about. Okay, let's check out the Silverado. I'm at the scenic spot right outside of Frisco, and this is the interior of the Silverado 1500 High Country. And this is the Banks iDash, which I'll reference that in different videos. That gives me the regen, whether it's regen not, and the engine temperature. And you can set this up a variety of different ways. There's a ton of different options. I'm just playing with some of them today. I'll probably change it up and do more. So let's get out. And there's your view, the scenic area. Okay, so this is the High Country Duramax, right? High Country badging there and here. And I come around the sides. I did change out this to a stubby. I use Sirius XM all the time anyways. Not a big deal. I don't really notice any difference. Come around the back. This is the Nissan Altima, which I wanted to check to make sure my chains are still connected. They are. And make sure the tire's still connected. That tire is not. So I'll need to fix that. That must come loose just a little while ago. I've been looking at the camera on it. This is a U-Haul setup here. What I point out is this way safe scale. I say scale, but it's basically measuring tongue weight. You can see right there, it's measuring, I don't know, about 50, 60 pounds of tongue weight, and it's from WaySafe. I'll put a link down below. You can go shop on Amazon for it. It's pretty handy. It tells you how much the tongue weight is adding to the vehicle, which can be useful because you can take that tongue weight against the payload of the vehicle because you're actually adding the weight to it. That's a nice thing to have. And yeah, there's the rest of the Altima. So that's where we're driving. Oh, and there's the slider. People asked, I installed this last weekend. It's a deck slider, comes out, and people were asking on the comments, no, it doesn't make any noise. I didn't ever hear it at all. And it rides really nice. It's nice and stable. So let me fix that, and then we'll get back on the road. Yeah, so this is the issue with driving in the winter in Colorado. Actually, the spring. This is April 19th, and as I said, when I got over Eisenhower, I knew there was some weather here in Vail. I'm just on the west side of Vail. This is a rain-snow mix. Luckily, it's 34 degrees. The roads aren't freezing, but definitely not what I want to be doing towing a car or even driving on it anyways. But yeah, it's what it is. It's what I got this year. I had to do this trip right now, or it'd be another 2 months till I came out here, so just got to get it done. And overall, it's doing great. We're doing 60. I kind of slowed down 55, 60 into that range. Been driving the whole way. And yeah, everything looks good behind the wheel. Just been nice to get out of the storm here pretty soon. All right, I got like 50 miles to go. Figured it's a good time to do the final kind of check-in and tell you what my numbers are, because 50 miles ain't gonna change a whole lot. Better not. So I have 194 degrees in transmission temperature. Engine's at 214. On this trip, my trip summary on the screen shows 439 miles and 21.5 miles per gallon. I'm gonna make sure I do this one more time. Yeah, there we go. So you guys can see it too. I consider that pretty damn impressive. I would say that, you know, yeah, I'm not towing a lot of weight, and a lot different than the camper I towed. The camper got like 12 miles per gallon because it had higher profile and bigger size and heavier and all kinds of stuff. But this is pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with these numbers. And yeah, I know that you can do the cost per mile and figure out the depth, and figure out additives, and figure out diesel, and probably close to gas at this point because the diesel pricing and stuff like that. And, you know, but when I look at the screen, it says 21.5 miles per gallon. I feel pretty good about that. It's okay. Now we're driving unladen, which means I don't have a trailer, driving back home to western Nebraska. I'm on I-70 doing about 75 miles an hour. And let me put the fuel economy on the screen because I just took a picture of this. And that was just a few miles ago. I did 31.1. That's incredible after 100 miles. Now it's starting to drop, now at 29.6 because we're heading into the mountains. So I'm gonna get over Vail, I'm gonna go over Eisenhower and go down the backside, come through into Colorado, then take Denver and take I-70 and 76 back home. So quite the test on this. So I'm gonna be really curious what happens because that 31.1, that's pretty damn shocking. And what's really cool about that is I didn't do anything. I didn't put an additive in this. I didn't put special fuel. I wasn't driving 10 miles on the speed limit. I wasn't trying to drive for fuel economy. I had to have it in eco mode or some garbage thing that's supposed to get another half mile per gallon, whatever. I'm just driving. Flat out, just driving, and I'm getting 31.1. Now I'm getting 29.6, which, I'm sorry, 29.6 in a full-size truck, that's still pretty damn good. And now you may be wondering, well, you can't do it like that. Computer lie. You have to do click to click. You have to use the fuel pump. Well, diesel fuel tends to big road thing. Diesel fuel tends to foam. And when I've done the tests in the past, the last 12 years or so, I have discovered that with this GM vehicle and other GM vehicles, I'm off by about 1, which is what kind of the pump variance would be. So even if you said, Tim, you didn't get 31.1, you got 30.1. Hello? That's still like 30. It's still well, good. I got 29.6, so maybe I got 28.6. Hello? That's still damn good. And so I'll be curious to see what happens this afternoon when I get home. I'll probably be home by, I don't know, 4 o'clock. So the other thing that I was going to point out was that's an 8-hour drive. I'm driving 8 hours today. What's interesting is my range to empty is 503 miles with that fuel economy. That means I'll be able to drive 8 hours all day and not have to stop for fuel once. I'm gonna stop to pee more often than I stop for fuel. Now I know you're thinking, hey, you know, diesel prices and more and all kind of stuff. There's a sign right here. It says $4.25 for diesel and $3.65 for gas. That is their cash prices. The card prices are a little bit more. So cash for diesel is $4.19. Cash for gas was $3.65. So about 50 cents difference if you're using cash because of credit card usage rates. They charge you a little percentage more, but so 50 cents more for fuel. I know you're thinking, Def, oh, I've drank through a whole thing of Def, spent 20 bucks on this thing. No, I currently have the same Def I had the video that I did yesterday. I've only used about a gallon. I'm probably going to use another half gallon, another gallon. So I probably spend $5 or $10 on the way back. So add that in your calculations. You're probably thinking, oh, you know, well, diesel's obviously the oil changes are a lot more money. It's like $50 more at the dealership. You can do it at home for a lot cheaper. You can do it at home. Probably by the time you buy it by yourself, it's probably the same price as doing a gasoline engine oil change if you get that Dexos fuel at the right price, or oil at the right price. So what do you got? You're saying, well, Tim, DEF is more, your fuel's more, and oil changes are more. And I'm saying to you, 29.6 or 31.1 or whatever I get when I get home. That's really damn good. That's really good. And if your hang-ups are going to be on DEF and your hang-ups going to be on a few cents more at the fuel pump without taking into consideration the cost per mile and how much better fuel economy you're getting in this truck versus any sort of gasoline, especially small displacement V6 engine, then I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I really don't know what you're talking about. I mean, that, to me, we're such a short-term society. We want to go to the fuel pump and say, oh, it's 50 cents less or $2 more for gas or whatever. We're a very short-term society. When you talk about this truck in this configuration with this diesel engine, a 10-speed automatic transmission, and you talk about this fuel economy and how I can go an entire day without stopping except, well, to check the tires, yeah. I mean, there's a big benefit there, and as said in yesterday's video, or the earlier part of this video, not stopping is going to save me some money because I always buy something in a convenience store anyway. So I always feel guilty, running into P and running out. I'll get to buy something. So yeah, I don't get it. I don't get what I'm missing, and I know I'm being biased in this video, and I know all that kind of stuff, but I am damn impressed. And I've been doing this job for 12 years, and I've never seen these numbers out of a full-size truck. I've never seen these numbers out of a full-size truck in my career. Period. Done. Okay, let's check this out. We are going over Vail Pass. We're getting close to it, getting close to the summit here at 28.8 mile per gallon, I should say. Getting close to the start of Vail Pass. You can see, yeah, still snowy here in Vail. In April 20th is snowy here in Vail. And so 28.8, and this is the way up the pass. Let's see what happened. I'll update this when we get down through the pass on the other side. But currently cruising 1,500 RPMs, really just sitting back and enjoying the drive, looking around, and no problems, no struggling at all. We have 219 degrees for the engine, 196 degrees for the transmission, and yeah, just kind of cruising. So let's get up this pass. Get to the summit here, 27.9 mile per gallon. So I lost 1 mile per gallon getting to the top. That's not that bad. So Vail Pass is at 10,603 feet, according to that sign. Or you can go up another 1,000 feet to Eisenhower and see what that does. But just kind of cruising along. So yeah, I didn't lose that much fuel economy. Okay, we are in Silverthorne. We're going up there, which always looks a little intimidating from down here. Look how high these hotels are. Look how high the mountains are around those hotels. Yeah, that gives you some idea what's going on. So it's been a work zone. I've been doing 55 through here. And let's see what the fuel economy is. 28.9, so I've gained back what I lost going over that pass, Vail Pass. So yeah, we're going to go up and see what happens. We get to the top Eisenhower. So we're going up to 1,000 feet or whatever. We've lost from Vail. We went up and down, so all the way to the top. Okay, we're coming up in the tunnel here, and I got traffic everywhere. 45 mile an hour speed limit because of a bump in the tunnel, and there's the tunnel. So we have 28 miles per gallon getting to the top. My ears are popping. We are up high in the Rockies, and so they're kind of the best and worst of the trip. I've gotten 31.1 and I've gotten 27.8 or 9, whatever it was, on Vail Pass, and so yeah, that was what we got. So let me get down and let's get back to Nebraska and see what the final number is going to be. All right, welcome to Nebraska. Even got a little Cornhusker on here. Hubby from the Nebraska football team is on there. So I got 30 minutes from home. Let the semi and car pass, and I want to show you the details. Boom, 28.7 mile per gallon, 65 miles per hour, and I drove 406 miles so far today. Okay, let's talk about that fuel economy. So I showed you on the screen 28.7. I've been driving a little bit longer, and I have now 29.0 on the screen, which to me is just remarkable, right? So 480 miles, average mile per gallon per hour is 64.9 at this point, 29 miles per gallon out of that truck. So not slow driving, not trying to hypermile it, not in eco mode. I'm just driving. And I think that's pretty darn impressive, especially going through the mountains and everything going on. And so for example, I went down out of Eisenhower down in Denver. I was getting 30.1. I turned north to go to Cheyenne. And if you know, Cheyenne's actually up on a hill, so it's actually higher than Denver. And the wind came up. It was 45 mile an hour wind gusts from the northwest. And so it was beating me around the road like it is right now. It's starting to wind blow. And I'm still getting that good a fuel economy in the wind, in the mountains, at higher speeds. That to me is pretty darn impressive. Okay, let's talk about all the other factors going on in diesels, because I get these questions all the time. What about regen? Well, I did a video on regen, a YouTube short, and I put it on there. And the first comment immediately is like, "What if you pull over? And what happens when you stop the regen process?" And yada yada yada. And it's just a lot of fear about regen, which I don't understand. And to me, it's just a lack of not knowing. It's just a lot of fear of change, of, oh, what's this new regen thing going on? So you pull over, and the truck will either tell you to keep running because regen's going on, or you just turn it off. Next time you get in, it starts regen up again. It's really a non-factor that becomes a huge issue for a lot of consumers, and I'm not sure really why that is. I'm sure there's some past history. You know, when the EPA did their clean air stuff back in 07, 08, 09, started doing regen, started doing all kinds of stuff. There was a lot of fear of change back then, and a lot of those engineering back then, those trucks were not well engineered, frankly, and there's a lot of learning from the OEMs. Everybody's trying to figure yourself out, so there's a lot of that back history, old history of diesels. This is good engineering, for example, right? So this is, they figured this out. I have all the EPA emissions equipment on this thing, and I'm still getting 29 miles per gallon, and I still got a massive amount of torque at low RPMs, and I did really well towing. So this is what we've been waiting for since those fuel economy, the EPA stuff came out. And so did the EPA kill diesels like I hear in all the comments? I don't think so. I mean, look at this thing, right? So how is this EPA killing diesels? It's pretty darn good to me. Let's talk DEF usage. According to the Telltale computer, I will double check that one more time, I have used another gallon of DEF. So I've used 2 gallons in this trip. And if that box back there, if I recall correct, it's like 3 or 4 gallon, or 3.5 gallon in a box. So I've spent 12 bucks. Say 12 bucks, 15 bucks on DEF. Okay? Okay. You just add it in your tank. Really, I'm sorry, but I don't mean to laugh, but I'm like, how is that a big factor? To me, it's like buying windshield wiper fluid. Your truck needs it, you go buy it, you put it in. Well, speaking of, on this trip, the most remarkable thing on this trip was that I started driving at 8:30 this morning. It's about 4 o'clock right now. So I've been in the seat for about 8 hours, and I stopped one time. Either the Diet Coke, I was getting tired, and windshield wiper fluid. That's it. Think about that. All day I could drive across Colorado, literally across Colorado, up through Wyoming, over here to Nebraska, and I had to stop one time. And my point on that is, every time I stop, I tend to buy something, right? And so think about all those stops I missed. Think about all that money I saved by just going. I mean, I think that's pretty darn incredible to be able to drive that far on this truck with this fuel economy. And I know a lot of people talk about, it's a 24 gallon diesel tank. That's just, it needs to be a lot bigger. 24 gallons not enough. I drove 8 hours, guys, and I didn't stop for fuel once. And if I stop for fuel once, it takes me 10 minutes to fill it up. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I got to see if you have a bladder that's like it's a really impressive bladder, and you want to drive 12, 14 hours at once without stopping, okay. But you stopped once, and I stopped once in 8 hours. Like, wow, that's pretty incredible to me. And so if people come to me and they say, you know, Tim, I want something that's powerful, that's smooth, that's quiet, and get pretty good fuel economy. And I'm like, this. Why not buy this? And then they say, well, I don't want to buy a diesel, and diesels are loud, nasty, and they're dirty, and you get the black smoke, and you get the more maintenance, and the really expensive repair, and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, that's the older diesels, guys. This is the newer age diesel. This is where I wish the truck market would go. I wish that other brands would look at General Motors, this engine, because this is, quite frankly, the best GM engine I think they've ever built. I wish they'd copy this engine and do more across the whole lineup of different brands of this type of engine, because, you know, I have driven lots of SUVs that don't get this fuel economy. I haven't. And so for me, towing power, check. Fuel economy, check. Smooth, check. Powerful, check. Quiet, check. If this truck is not on the top of your list and you're shopping for a truck with fuel economy, smooth, quiet, powerful, I don't know what you're thinking about. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't understand your rationale for not having this truck at the top of your list. I don't. Maybe you don't like, you know, I mean, there's things I don't like about this truck, right? So I don't like the wax frame. Not a big fan of that. I wish it had a panel moon roof. I can't get that. I wish it had adaptive cruise. Wasn't part of some technology package. You know, I wish I had the issue. I'll get that fixed with a trailer light. I mean, there's a small list. I have a very small list of things in this truck that I could, kind of a thing for me. But overall, I mean, for what I think a truck should be used for, as a tool, as fuel economy, as towing, I don't know why people don't look at this closer. I just don't understand the reasoning. So hey, put your reasoning down below. What do you guys think? Is this, am I blowing smoke or something? Am I making up fiction? I mean, I don't understand it. It seems like this is the ultimate mid-size or full-size truck engine, and it should be a mid-size truck engine too, in GM's lineup, and frankly across the board. And I don't know why Ram and Ford don't copy this engine design, because it is perfect. Yeah, that's why I say that. All right, for more trick videos over here, website down below as well. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.